Welcome back to the Steven the Cubas podcast. I am super excited that you are here. Today, we are going to talk about the top 5 mistakes that most wedding photographers make when it comes to booking a new wedding. So, whether you are an established wedding photographer or you are just getting started, this episode was made for you because I've done all these different mistakes. I've done it all. Been there, done that, got the certificate. And now today, I wanted to show you the lessons that I have learned throughout my experience and how all of these mistakes really helped me into becoming the photographer that I am today and having the business that I have today. Now, the results of these mistakes really it was painful because number one, I was undercharging what I really thought I'm worth. So I was definitely undercharging for my services. I was number two, getting frustrated and overwhelmed and sometimes even overworked. That it got to a point where I almost felt that I was going to get a burnout. And number three, I wasn't really excited about the type of weddings that I was booking. Nothing against those clients, but these are not the type of clients that I want to build my business with. They are at a certain level that I don't want to be. I don't want to be there. I just want to be working with a certain group of people. This is what we call your ideal customer avatar. And doing all of these mistakes, consequently, I wasn't booking the right people. I was booking the people that were complaining. I was booking the people that weren't happy about my services. And not because I was a bad photographer, but because they like complaining. And number three, there are people that weren't really paying me what I was worth. And they were complaining about every single detail and almost like micromanaging me as a photographer. And that is what I don't want for you. So if right now you are a photographer and as you look back at all the weddings that you've done and you're not really excited about those weddings, you're not really pumped to put those photos on your website or social media, then I believe this episode is the right episode for you. Now, one of my biggest lessons, and it came from a mistake, obviously, but one of my biggest lessons that I have learned came from that mistake, and we are already getting into mistake number one, which is not defining your niche. Some people call it niche, some people call it niche. It's the same thing. Basically, I remember back then, I was the photographer for everyone. You need a photographer? Hey, I'm here for you. I'm ready to help you with your photography needs. So I was basically marketing to everyone. And just like Amy Porterfield says, if you're marketing to everyone, you are marketing to no one. And I didn't really realize it at the beginning because I thought, okay, I'm a photographer, I have a camera, I can take really good photos. Do you need a photographer? You should hire me. That was basically my marketing. You need a photographer? You can hire me. But I want you to consider that there's a difference between a general photographer versus a wedding photographer that specializes in only wedding photography. And we can take an example, for example, like general practitioner versus a heart surgeon. So what do I mean by this? If you have a heart problem, right? Would you go to a general practitioner or would you go to a heart surgeon, someone that is specialized in your heart, right? So when you go to a heart surgeon, they are more specialized. They have a perceived value that a general practitioner does not have. And also, as someone that is specialized, like a heart surgeon, you can also charge premium prices. So if you take a look at the investment that you're gonna make with a general practitioner versus a heart surgeon, you're definitely gonna pay more money for a heart surgeon. Same thing with wedding photography. If you are a photographer and you're doing maternity photo shoots, you're doing family photo shoots, you're doing Christmas specials, whatever, if you are doing everything when it comes to photography, then you really don't have that perceived value. When you only specialize in weddings, it gives you that extra perceived value that happens in the mind of your consumers, and then it gives you the opportunity to also charge those premium prices. So when you specialize in wedding photography, you not only stand out in the marketplace versus all the other photographers that are out there, but you can also charge more, but you can also promise a bigger experience, and you can deliver a bigger experience because you already have built that skill and also that experience that you have as a wedding photographer. So by positioning yourself as a wedding photographer specialist, someone that specializes in wedding photography, you're just not another photographer. You're someone that is standing out. You are like the heart surgeon in the photography industry. So people will trust you more, they will pay more, and they will talk about you differently as well. So what I say right here is one of the biggest things that have helped me really position myself as the go-to wedding photographer is by showcasing what I want to attract. So what do I mean by that? When it comes to posting on social media, when it comes to promoting on my website, when it comes to sharing behind the scenes, even though at the beginning I was doing different types of photography like maternity and birthday parties and family photo shoots, even though I was doing it because at the beginning I really needed that money, I was strategic with what I was putting out there. So I was focusing more on my wedding photography work, and that is the work that I will publish and what I will market with. So even if I did a a maternity photo session, or even if I did a family session, I wasn't promoting it. I was just doing it for the money, but I was really strategic with what I was putting out there. So even if it's like a styled shoot, so like a fake wedding, I would even create content with couples that it's not their wedding day, but hey, maybe they have their attire and they want to take extra photos. I would gladly do that as well and use that to promote my wedding photography service. So the biggest mistake that I see most photographers make, and this is something that I did as well, is not specializing in wedding photography, and this consequently will get you to the point that you won't be charging the price that you really want to, and people won't see you as the go-to wedding photographer. And especially if you want to enter the luxury market, luxury clients want someone that is specialized, someone that they can trust, someone that they have the experience, they have the portfolio, they have the connections. And when it comes to wedding photography, when it comes to becoming a wedding photographer, working in this industry, you need all of that in order to book those high-end clients. All right? So mistake number 2 that I see a lot of wedding photographers make is that they only rely on word of mouth. And this is something that I did as well. At the beginning, I was like, okay, I have a camera. What do I do with this camera? At the beginning, it was a hobby. I was exploring. I was taking photos of... I remember back then, my cousin was pregnant, and I told her, hey, I want to take your photos. I'm starting this photography journey, this hobby. I want to learn more. So can I take photos of you, and you give me whatever you want to give me? She gave me like 200 florins, which is like $100 or $120. But this for me was really the start of my photography journey. But back then, I had no idea what it would look like for me to promote myself as a wedding photographer. I had no idea how to promote myself on social media. I had no idea that I needed a website and I need to create content on my website. I thought I needed logos. I thought I needed like a business card. I thought I needed like branding colors. Back then, black and white branding colors, right? So I didn't know all of that. I was only relying on word of mouth. So that cousin, I said, hey, here are your photos. Hey, please feel free to share with your family and friends. And if they are interested in a photo shoot as well, I'm more than happy to give them discounts because you refer them to me. So that was my strategy when it comes to getting more clients. I wasn't doing anything else really. But today, especially 2025 and beyond, we see that social media, the technology, the online world has already taken over. And if you are a wedding photographer and you are not using social media and your website to promote your services, you are left behind. I believe that if right now in 2024 and beyond, you are not focusing on building a brand online, on content strategy, on putting yourself out there, on video marketing, if you're not using all of these tools that we have, you are left behind. You're gonna you're in trouble, to be honest. You're in trouble if you're not using these things. So relying only on word of mouth can be powerful, and I do believe you can still leverage this. So for example, myself, I work with a lot of planners, wedding planners, and I work with a lot of resorts. So here in Aruba, hotels are really popular when it comes to weddings. So I have partnerships with different hotels. So when it comes to that part, the word of mouth and like this partnership that I have with these vendors, this really help. But I don't let that be the only way that I can get more clients. So it's a mix of both. You need that word of mouth because it really does help. But having a social media presence, having your website, having a marketing strategy is crucial today. And not even today, yesterday. Like it was already important. Now it's even more important. All right? So let's continue with mistake number 3, which is undervaluing your service. I think we've all been there, right? If you are a wedding photographer, you've likely experienced that you booked a client not because you're really excited about their wedding, but more than you are excited because you need to pay the bills and this is a client that can pay you. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been there too. I remember my first wedding, I think I charged like $500. I think it was less than that, and I was working about 10 hours. I really did not make any profit. And at the beginning, of course, we don't know pricing so much, so it's really understandable. However, as you grow your business, your pricing is also marketing. And this is something that we can go really, really deep into it. Pricing is marketing. It really is. And what really, really helps here to really for you to charge these premium prices is we need to work on our brand. And when it comes to building a wedding photography business, your brand is one of the most powerful assets that you have. And if right now you feel like you are not charging what you really, really want to charge, it means that you are undervaluing yourself, which also means that consequently you will get to a point where you feel overworked, overwhelmed. You feel like maybe it's time to go back to a 9 to 5 job, and I don't want that for you. All right. So what really helped me here is, number one, invest in mentors and programs and marketing resources and branding, so that I can really understand what it will look like for me to put a brand out there that charges premium prices. So really getting to know the industry better by learning from people that are ahead of me. Number two, I was also researching my local market. I was comparing myself with other photographers, not because I want to like copy what they're doing, but also, but what it was more than I want to learn where they're at, what they're charging. We can look at the different portfolio, my portfolio and their portfolio, and we can you can make an assessment, right? And then from there, I would make a clear assessment of where I am, and then base my pricing on that. Now, if right now you're thinking, okay, but Steven, I have no idea what to charge, I would say what really helped for me is like really looking at the local market where different photographers are, but also standing by my prices. At the beginning, a simple photo shoot, I was charging like 200 florins, 120 bucks. I wasn't making any profit, but I was comfortable there. And then slowly but surely, I was getting more clients, more experience. I was working on my skill, and this led to increasing my prices. So really starting somewhere that you're comfortable with, that you can back up, and then slowly grow from there is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned that also has helped me. So I would definitely focus on that. All right. One other thing that really helps with your pricing is your client experience. So, what do I mean by that? We can take an example of, let's say, for example, you want to go buy a belt, right? We can go to Zara and we can buy a belt. And we can also go to Gucci or Prada, and we can also, or Louis Vuitton, and we can also buy a belt. Now, the difference between Zara's belt versus Louis Vuitton's belt is a huge difference right there. It's like apples and pears. So at the Zara, when you go buy that belt, you have a different client experience. I don't want to talk about bad about Zara, but I have experienced that I go and I find clothes on the floor, right? It's not like the most ideal client experience or shopping experience. Number one. Number two, you're gonna be paying less for that belt versus the Louis Vuitton's belt. But also, the brand is different. When you hear Zara versus Louis Vuitton, you already have a brand feeling or a brand resonance and how you feel, think, and the perspective that you have around that brand. Like, for example, I can say Coca-Cola is better than Pepsi. Some people will agree and some people will not agree. It happens in the mind of your consumer. Same thing here. If you go to Louis Vuitton, you get a different client experience. I've been to Louis Vuitton. I actually just bought a belt there, and I was greeted with they opened the door for me, they greet me, they welcome me to the store, they offer me water or prosecco, they give me a really elevated client experience. Everything was so beautiful in the store, it smelled nicely, and I never saw a product on the floor versus Zara, right? And of course, you will be paying so much more for that belt versus buying that belt at the Zara. So your client experience will also dictate your pricing. If let's translate to wedding photography. In the case of wedding photography, are you responding to your emails within 24 or 48 hours? Are you communicating with your clients what is the next step? Are you providing guides and checklists and helpful resources that is going to elevate the client experience? Are you connecting with your clients way before their wedding day? Are you giving them value throughout your social media channels and website? All of these things are gonna elevate your client experience. So I would definitely focus on these things as well. Now, if you want to learn more about how to elevate your client experience, I have great news for you. I have created a checklist for wedding photographers. So if you want to learn how to elevate your client experience so that you can charge premium prices, so that you can elevate your branding experience, and so that you can finally book the type of clients that you are excited to work with, I would love to invite you to head to stevendecuba.com/experience, and here you can download this checklist totally for free. So this checklist will guide you from the beginning, like the first impression, all the way to image delivery, how every single phase of that customer journey process you can elevate the experience. This has been one of the biggest resource that I have shared with the members of my program, the High End Click, my signature course for wedding photographers, and today I want to share this with you as well. Now, obviously, this is a guide, and we go really deep into the ways that you can elevate that experience. But in the program, we will take that to the next level. But if you're just getting started, if you want to learn more on how you can elevate your client experience, I would definitely download this. So again, stevendecuba.com/experience. All right, let's continue with mistake number 5, which is ignoring the power of your personal brand. I've said it before, and I will keep on saying it again and again until I don't have a voice anymore. Your personal brand is the most powerful asset that you have as a wedding photographer. Your personal brand is going to help you stand out from your competitor. It's going to elevate your branding, and it's going to give you the opportunity to charge premium prices. The reality is that there are thousands of other wedding photographers out there, and perhaps there are so many of them that are doing a way better job than what you are doing. So it's really not about how many years of experience that you have. It's not really about the creativity. If you are more creative than the other, that is really subjective, and it has nothing to do with the gear that you work with. It has everything to do with your own brand. And if you are a wedding photographer, the only way that you will stand out from the rest of the competition is by having a strong personal brand. When I started to share behind the scenes of the weddings that I was documenting, when I was sharing different anecdotes, when I was sharing my own personal stories, I've realized that I not only attracted more of the people that I want to work with, but I also built a stronger relationships with my clients. Now I notice that the shift went from, oh, he takes great photos, to, oh, I really like this guy. I want him to be at my wedding. I want Steven to photograph my wedding. I kid you not. I've had rejected some clients because I was already booked, and they got mad. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're not available." I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm booked." And I even request, "Hey, I can send someone to go and do it for you," but they're like, "No, we want you." So that is what I want for you as well. I want people to book you because of who you are, and no one can replicate that. No one can copy and paste you. You're the only one that is you, and you are you, and that is your biggest superpower. So what are the things that you can start doing today that is gonna help you build a personal brand? Simple things. Number 1, when I go to your Instagram account, will I see a photo of you, like a really nice headshot of you? Or is your profile image your logo? If it's your logo, no one really cares about the logo. Sorry, but no one really cares about the logo. No one will go, "Oh my God, that's a really amazing logo. Let me book her or let me book him." No, of course not. So if you have your logo, change that to a really nice photo of you. Number 2, do you have an About Me page on your website where we can get to know the person behind that brand? If not, this is your reminder to go and put that on your to-do list. And number 3, do we see more than just the photographer? What do I mean by that? Do I feel like I know you on a more personal. I mean, you don't have to share your personal life, but for example, for me, things that I am comfortable sharing on social media is like I have nephews and nieces. I share them. I have my parents that I like to spend time with. I share them as well. I have a dog. I share my dog as well. I love going to the gym and working out. I love the beach. I love traveling. So I'm sharing things that has nothing to do with wedding photography, but everything to do with me. And this is one way to really build that friendship and connection with your audience in a way that doesn't feel like I'm selling. And that is one of the things that I want you to focus on. Can you create different content? Can you create different opportunities to show the human of your business? This will definitely help you start with that personal brand. All right? So these are things that are really simple. It sounds really simple and maybe even stupid. Like, wow, you want me to just put a photo of me on my social media? Yes, because it really, really does help. All right? Now, I want to read a review from one of my clients, and I want you to notice how they talk more about me as a photographer and not really about the photos, although I know that they love their photos, but the experience, the client experience that I gave them, how I use my own personal brand and personality and my way of being, my energy, that really, really elevated their experience with my business. Alisa said, blown away is an understatement for how I feel about Steven's work. From our first meeting, I knew choosing Steven as our wedding photographer was one of the best decisions I made during the wedding planning process. Steven is so kind, professional, and truly takes the time to get to know a couple before photographing them. Steven listened when I said, the most important part of capturing our wedding was remembering the feelings and emotions we had on that special day. On the big day, he was punctual, dedicated, and just an all-around good time. He made me feel comfortable in front of the camera and capture such amazing moments from the day without me even noticing he was snapping away. Not to mention, he got us our first photos just 4 days, client experience, after the wedding. That kind of quick turnaround is unheard of. Honestly, I can't think of anything that would have made our experience with Steven better. What are they talking about? They are talking about their experience with my brand. I mean, of course, the images are important. Of course, I mean that goes without saying, right? But the experience, how you make someone feel, is crucial, especially as a wedding photographer documenting one of the most important days of someone's life. If you can elevate that experience, if you can make them feel super special, you're winning. All right? So I really want you to focus on your client experience. How do you do that? You start by going to stevendecubo.com/experience. And this is where you download a guide that I will walk you step by step on how to do it. All right. Now, let's recap the 5 different mistakes that most wedding photographers make when it comes to booking a wedding. Number 1, not defining your niche clearly. So if you are focusing on being a maternity photographer, being a family photographer, being an event photographer, you really need to niche down into becoming that wedding photographer in order to charge those premium prices and book those high-end clients. Number 2, relying only on word of mouth. We've talked about different ways that you can elevate your branding and marketing, social media, your website, things like that, but also using word of mouth as part of your strategy. Number 3, undervaluing your service. How do we charge premium prices? We charge premium prices by focusing on our branding and our customer experience. And the biggest mistake that most wedding photographers make is that they only focus on their gear, or they only focus on taking great photos, which is great. You're working on your skills, but they also focus on getting the latest trend out there, or doing the buying that latest camera, or buying that latest lens, things like that that really don't matter. They focus on those things. What successful wedding photographers do is they focus on their brand and their client experience. Mistake number 4 is neglecting client experience. We've been talking about it. Your client experience can break or can make it. And one of the things that I have learned that I want to pass to you is that people will not remember what you told them, but they will remember how you made them feel. Okay, drop that mic. So, how you make someone feel is really important and will dictate how they talk about your brand. And the last mistake that a lot of wedding photographers make is that they ignore the power of their own personal brand. There are thousands of other photographers out there. What is gonna make you stand out? Well, that is your personal brand. All right? So, thank you so much for being here and listening to this podcast episode. As a reminder, there's a free guide that you can download and you can elevate your wedding experience. stevendecuba.com/experience. Make sure you download that. And hey, go to Steven Decuba on Instagram. Send me a message. Let me know that you've listened to this podcast episode. And I am more than happy to connect with you. All right. Thank you so much for being here. And I will see you next week.